live, sir.
That you asked, Madam Archana, Madam. I think you are not live. I am seeing it's a pre-live. This is pre-live. Now
Now
it's
it
live.
is live.
Okay, please.
Now it is fine. Archana, am I visible?
Yeah, you are visible, ma'am. You are visible. You are visible.
Okay.
Please carry on.
Yeah. Dear participants, I welcome you all on this webinar today of the Internal Audit and Assurance Standard Board. Today's topic is key steps and emerging technologies for conducting an effective internal audit. We have with us eminent speaker, Professor Dr. V. Gopalan. Chitranjan sir, I'd like you to speak a few words on sir and the topic.
Make me live first. Make me live.
He has to be made live. Chitranjan sir for live. There's a network problem. Sir, there is a network problem. Chitranjan sir, there's a network problem, so I'll continue. Yeah, Chitranjan sir, yes.
Yeah. Am I live?
Yeah.
Yes. So, very good morning to you all. I'm really very grateful to you in this very early morning. You are all here to attend a very important webinar. And this is the first webinar hosted by this time the Internal Audit Assurance Standard Board. And I'm very much grateful to my entire council for giving me this responsibility to carry out the activities of Internal Audit Assurance Standard Board in this particular term. And I am also very much grateful to one of our very honorable speaker, who is an ocean of knowledge and internal audit, CMA V. Gopalanji, who is here with us. You will be all listening to him. And I am sure that after listening to him, you will have many questions. Please ask your questions to the chat box also, so that you can simply nourish your knowledge and you can really have an excellent learning, excellent relearning, excellent unlearning also. I got beg to be excused because I'm joining from while I'm traveling. I'm just speaking here. Friends, I just want to give some of the feelers to you about this total program, why we have conceived the first this particular program, when we are talking about the key steps and emerging technologies for conducting an effective internal audit. And this would be definitely today we have gathered to discuss this critical aspect of organizational resilience, internal audit, as we navigate the complexities of industry and modern business. Internal audit plays a very vital role in ensuring governance, risk management, and as also compliance. Friends, in this aspect, I when we'll be talking. Am I audible?
Yes, in between, sir, there was a network issue at your end. But you're audible.
I'm just just let me continue this. So the internal audit function has undergone significant transformations over the years, from compliance focused to strategic partner, shift from historical review to forward looking risk assessment, and increased emphasis on assurance, insights, and value additions. As also, it should be our internal audit now addresses operational efficiency, risk management, governance, compliance, strategic alignment. One of the key challenges of this internal audit, the many challenges are there, such as increasing regulatory requirement and complexity, emerging risks and threats, especially cyber security and data privacy, then complexity of global operations and supply chain, talent acquisitions, and this retention in this competitive market also, and balancing assurance and consulting roles. So these emerging technologies, they will be address these challenges, and internal audit leverage emerging techniques itself.
Chittaranjan sir, I think there's some network issue at your end. Your voice
And
is
augmented
not coming
testing,
properly now.
continuous audit.
Dear participants, just a small brief about our topic. For cost and management accounting professionals, internal audits are like the safety net beneath their tight rope walk. Am I audible, Gopalan sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, very much.
Yeah, these audits help maintain financial integrity, optimize resource allocation, and enhance decision making. Management accountants, cost and management accountants can focus on strategic planning and performance improvement if the internal audit of the organization is well in place. Without it, everything would crumble. Uh, Dr. Eminent Speaker, Professor Dr. V. Gopalan is a chartered accountant, management accountant, and a company secretary. He's also a PhD in mergers and acquisitions. He's handled hundreds of projects related to finance, restructuring, due diligence, valuation in his assignments at ICICI Limited. Now he's in his current capacity, he's a visiting professor at the Indian School of Business, at the Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode, Department of Management Studies at IIT Madras, and at the Great Lakes Institute of Management. We are very honored to have Dr. V. Gopalan as a member of our Internal Auditing and Assurance Standard Board. He's been a contributor of many articles to professional journals and assigned magazines, and he's traveled to many countries on professional assignments. Thank you, sir, today for coming here and being a speaker for us. I hand over the baton to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me first share my material.
Yeah.
Sharing. Not able to. Can Archana help now? Because I.
There's a sharing, or there would be a share option.
Yes, the share option is there.
Yeah.
Sure. 1 second. I have that material ready, but oh, right. Is it visible now?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to be here this morning with you. You have to make me live. I am not seen. Only we are able to see you only. Simarjit?
Yeah.
You have to make me live as Mr. Chittaranjan said. No. Only you are live. Is Archana not there with you?
Yeah, she's just coming.
Are you there, Simarjit?
give me a second, sir. Just give me a second. I'm trying to make this live.
Okay. Is I don't know whether if I keep talking, whether that is audible. If that is the case, I can keep continuing.
Yes, sir. I think
No, you can hear, but I'm talking about the participants.
want
If
to
someone
make
can.
him live. Balance is already live.
Because he's sharing this PPT, no?
Yeah, just tell him. He was saying that it is not live.
If it is live, fine.
Yeah, it is live, sir. Archana is here.
Okay.
That already done.
Archana, can I go ahead?
Yes, sir, you can go ahead because we are
Okay.
sharing the content.
Okay, good. Now, this topic, what we are going to discuss today is.
Now it's fine, sir?
Archana ma'am, hi, now
Yes,
it's
sir.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Now it's okay. Please. Now it's okay. Please carry on.
Okay, right.
Sir, now you are visible, sir.
Okay, fine. These key steps and emerging technologies we will be discussing today. What I will be doing while discussing these relevant points on this topic, I also thought that I can share my experience in some of these areas on internal audit, on how some technologies were also adopted, and while we discuss under some of the relevant areas, we'll also be discussing some case studies, and finally we'll have a question and answer session in which we can share our thoughts. The scope of internal audit, as in his introduction, as Mr. Chintaranjan, the chairman, was explaining, the scope has been changing, and the scope is definitely not as what it was. Actually, the audit means the general impression of anyone is it is to find out the leakages and frauds. Actually, that is slowly now getting moved away from that. It's not just only finding out the leakages or frauds, possible frauds. It is much more than that. It is, as he already mentioned, it is to talk about risk assessment. It is to talk about governance. It is to take care of the compliances with laws and regulations. It is examining the policies, procedures, records. It is monitoring the internal controls. And in next 45 minutes or so, we are going to see the greatest scope of internal audit. Fortunately, the internal audit area has given excellent opportunities for cost and management accountants also. So while we discuss, you please get an idea of where exactly the professional opportunities lie for the cost accountants. As a cost accountant myself for more than 4 decades, how I have been in a position to use this expertise and knowledge for the purpose of my various assignments. We'll also be discussing about that. So please remove from your mind that the leakages and frauds, audit mean is bloodhound, all that you can just remove it from your mind. It is only one of the functions. There are various other functions which we will be discussing more and more. As all of you know very well, internal auditor is only a watchdog, not a bloodhound. This is what we say for the statutory auditors also. So for that matter, it applies to most of the types of auditors. So he is not required to be a detective. So many times if we go with an assumption that we are here to find fault, we are here to find some lapses, I think please change that mindset and approach the work without any suspicion. Why should there be? After all, we are going to add value. The main purpose of internal audit, as we are going to see more and more, is to add value to the end users. Simarjit, is it okay?
Yes.
Audible? Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Now, this internal audit is more of a risk management. This is what I have been finding for the last so many years. more particularly in recent decade. This is what my experience has been while handling management consulting, while handling internal audit, while handling various other assignments in my capacity as a board member, audit committee member, audit committee chairman, advisor, consultant. So in different capacities, this is what I find the role of an internal auditor. So we will discuss more about this. And as I said already, in next an hour or so, we'll see various roles of internal auditors. It's not just, as I said, finding fault. It's something more. And starting with this risk management, we'll discuss about that along with then and there, wherever possible, some cases also. So risk management is one of the functions. And what is that risk management? It is to identify, assess and mitigate risk. So internal auditor is not supposed to only identify problems. He is also supposed to assess the problems. He is also supposed to give suggestions for mitigating the problem. So his role is from audit, it changes to advisor, consultant. So that's what one has to really understand. Identifying risks is spotting potential risks that could impact a business. So yes, audit should definitely do this part as a part of the exercise, whether there are any risks, what are the risks, which risks are more serious, which risk can be tolerated, which risk cannot be tolerated, and what is the magnitude of the risk. All that is a part of the internal auditor's job. And analyzing the risk is not just pointing out and giving, okay, these are the risks which are lying. And what the management expects from the internal auditor is analyze and tell us what is the nature of risk, what is the magnitude of the risk, evaluate that risk through a risk matrix. I'm going to show you in the next slide what is that risk matrix, how to go ahead and evaluate the risk and treat the risk, develop strategies to mitigate, transfer, accept, avoid. Not all risks can be avoided. Not all risks need to be accepted. Not all risks can be transferred. Not all risks can be mitigated to the same extent. So one should have a thorough knowledge of what can be accepted, what has to be avoided, what has to be transferred, what has to be reduced, mitigated, all that with the timely action. That is also part of the job of the internal auditor while he is analyzing the risk part of it. And it is just not there. It does not end there. Again, monitoring that, reviewing that continuously as a part of the job. Actually, in most of the boards where I have been as the audit committee chairman, we assign this sort of major responsibility to the internal auditor, because the internal auditors are supposed to report to the audit committee. So the audit committee expects the internal auditors to identify the risks, analyze the risks, evaluate the risks, and then treat the risks under these 4 or 5 baskets, and then on a continuous basis monitor and review the risks. So this is one of the major aspects of internal audit requirement. When we discussed about this risk matrix, it is like this. Some risks are negligible, the impact of the risk. Some have minor impact, some have moderate impact, some have significant impact, some have severe impact. So, and negligible, very likely, negligible, very unlikely. Whatever it is negligible. Go to the other extreme, severe, very likely. It is severe, at the same time very likely one has to concentrate. Severe but very unlikely, but it is a severe. So one has to understand whether it is severe, whether it is likely, and accordingly the 1 to 5 scale or 1 to 10 scale, depending upon what the management wants, what the internal auditor decides. So in discussion with the management, accordingly the risk management has to be the internal auditor's responsibility. So the management is going to finally decide, but the consultation is with the internal auditor. The opinion is from the internal auditor. So the analysis, if it is based on these lines, it would really help the management. And this Companies Act has all of you know, as per this section 138 of Companies Act and Rule 13, for adding these private limited companies also, that has very clearly explain the internal audit, where it is mandatory, where it has to be carried out. So just for the sake of information, I thought I will cover this. Most of you will already know this. If it is a listed company, yes, internal audit is compulsory. No questions asked whether it is paid up share capital limit, turnover limit, loans and borrowing limit, outstanding deposits limits, nothing to be worried about. If it is a listed company, straight away internal audit is mandatory. If it is an unlisted company, any of these four, paid up share capital 50 crores and above, turnover 200 crores and above, outstanding loans and borrowings 100 crores and above, outstanding deposits 25 crores and above, it is not all, it is any of this. Likewise, if it is a private company, there it is only turnover and loans and borrowings irrespective of deposits and paid up share capital. So this turnover of 200 crores and deposits, loans and borrowings of 100 crores, exactly as for the unlisted companies, the limits are there for the private companies also. And internal auditor can be a chartered accountant and also a cost accountant. This is a great opportunity for cost accountants. Actually, many of the assignments handled by all of us are mostly in a way we call it as internal audit or we call it as some other name, but a lot of opportunities have arisen after this. So one has to be very careful in choosing. I will also give some of my experiences in how we converted some of the assignments as internal audit. Why some? Most of our assignments, we are management consultants, we are advisors. Last 25 years, we have been handling hundreds of proposals. So how we are in a position to convert most of those assignments into sort of internal audit, and how cost accountants need not have to wait for internal audit opportunity. Even other opportunities will turn out to be internal audit, that we'll be discussing very shortly. So this is what exactly the opportunity given under the 2013 Amendment Act. And as our chairman in his introductory talk, as he mentioned, it has been changing its shifting its focus slowly now. This is what was explained in greater detail in our guidance note on internal audit of cost records. Our institute, the technical cell, has already published in December 2019 a beautiful literature, guidance note on internal audit. Please go through that. That is very detailed and excellent document. So I have taken a few points from that, more particularly how the focus has shifted. What it states, which is very true, internal audits still few years back were focusing on to provide assurance on the true and fair view of financial statements. It was the financial statements, the audited statements, and cash flow, balance sheet, P&L, notes on accounts, all that, whether they are true and fair. That's what exactly, like the statutory audit, this internal audit focus was also more and related to that, mainly to support the statutory auditors and the adequacy and the effectiveness of internal controls. Because the statutory auditors, if you see CARO audit report, they are also supposed to certify whether the internal controls are adequate, whether the internal audit system is adequate, all that. So this is for as a support to the main auditor, the statutory auditor, as far as the auditors auditing part of it is was concerned. But the focus has completely now getting added more and more. I'm not saying this shifted in the sense this is not completely out of the picture. In addition to this, internal auditors are also looking into the compliance areas. Now we do a lot of compliance related work. So that's part of, we can say, though we can call it as management consultancy work, that is also a internal audit work. The internal audit gradually shifted its focus on the operational audit and later to corporate governance and risk management. So see the scope, how that is widening day by day. The current complex business models, role of internal auditor has more shifted to the management or proprietary or strategic audit. There are now more concerned with the performance audit and now designed to add value to and improve an organization's operational part of it. And then from financial data to cost and operational data. Now, if you see, the scope has widened so much that everything concerning to a corporate company, you can say that it can be conveniently covered under internal audit. So you can imagine the scope of opportunities for cost accountants, because the legal approval is there for the cost accountants to undertake that internal audit responsibility. And this internal audit, financial and cost, from financial records, how the cost records audit is also becoming important. That has also been mentioned in this guidance note. So the reports submitted by the internal auditors of financial records can be reviewed by the internal cost auditor to place his reliance as regards the sufficiency and accuracy. So the cost auditor is given an additional responsibility, additional power, additional opportunity to review and give his opinion on the financial records, on the sufficiency and accuracy of these records and reports. In particular, the internal auditor of cost records should focus on the following aspects. There are some areas which are listed out. So these proprietary and reasonableness of money expended by the company. So it is not, for example, if a bank has given a loan to a company, the end use of that loan, the utilization of that loan, normally who certifies that? It is a chartered accountant or the auditor of the company who certifies that. But here, the proprietary and reasonableness of money expended by the company, whether it is used for the same purpose, whether it is used for the same project, whether there is a diversion of funds, it is a part of the cost internal auditor's scope. Completeness and appropriateness of the incomes and receipts. So P&L, all the aspects of income, it is not just only costing related, it is all parts of income, all parts of expenses have to be part of internal audit. Proprietary and reasonableness of money expended for purchases by the company, both revenue and capital. So P&L related and balance sheet related, all debits, money expended, purchases. So whether it is a P&L expenditure side or it is your balance sheet asset side, everything, capital and revenue, all are covered. Completeness and appropriateness of the sales revenue earned by the company. Again, the entire sales and then your receivables and your working capital management, anything and everything connected with that. Proprietary and reasonableness of assets acquired and its accounting and use over the period. All the accounting of all the assets. So it is not just only the long-term assets, even your short-term assets, so working capital, your long-term assets. So in a way, assets includes your investments also. So anything to do with your asset side. So asset side, income side, expenditure side, liability side for the money is expended. So it covers everything. Creation of liabilities with a corresponding benefit accruing to the company. So that's what I said. The liabilities are also there. So proper accounting and treatment of various costs. So the costing related aspect is not going to just restrict it to cost records. It is also going to cover financial records, P&L, balance sheet, cash flow, income, expenditure, asset, liability. So the scope of internal audit is not fault finding. It even goes to the extent of utilization, proprietariness, reasonableness, and completeness, appropriateness, reasonableness. You see, it's a very wide scope. And objectives and scope of the internal audit. Here, this is very important. One should, as I have been explaining now, am I audible now? Are you all with me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're very much audible.
Okay, fine. Just check with the audience whether they are also connected with us. Just send a chat and check with them, because I'm not able to see in this. Fine. So the objectives and the scope of the internal audit is what we have been discussing now. But for the sake of better understanding, I thought I will even summarize it at this stage. So objectives of an internal audit may vary. Again, I gave you a very big list. I have been saying for the last say 20 minutes or so the scope of internal audit in different formats. So is it applicable for all the companies all the time? No. Answer is no. One has to choose. See, it's not that every time everything is required. Sometimes P&L may be important. Sometimes the balance sheet may be important. Sometimes both may be important. Sometimes your operating, investing, financing, cash flow balancing may be important. So depending upon the requirement, the internal audit scope has to be defined. So verifying the accuracy of the records, ensuring compliance with the standards. Now, plenty of standards are there. Accounting standards are there. Cost standards are there. Secretarial standards are there. IFRS is there. Ind AS, AS. So the internal auditor's knowledge has to be supreme. He cannot say that he is not updated. He cannot say that I don't know this. More than the knowledge on a particular subject, he is expected to know the industry also. He is expected to know the sector also. He is expected to know the globally what is happening around. So I'm going to show now some of the literature what an internal auditor should refer to. In that, I am also mentioning about some of the international literature. So he cannot say that, yes, I know about Indian laws. No, that those days are gone. With this globalization now, with a lot of companies going for outbound acquisitions, inbound acquisitions, M&As in a very big way, even the valuation of the company's swap ratio, exchange ratio calculation, for everything there is the requirement of audit for that the global standards, understanding that global standards and complying with all those requirements. There are many times when many big companies have also failed in some of their international transactions because of lack of knowledge of their international standards, international compliances. So the internal auditor is supposed to take this as a part of his role to check whether the compliances are in order if the company has spread its wing outside the country or planning to spread its wing outside the country. Only after outlining the objectives and scope of internal audit, the appointment of the internal auditor has to take place. This is what we do in the board. When we decide appointing an internal auditor, it is not just his qualification, his experience. Also, we have an interview. We discuss as to how they are equipped to handle this particular assignment. Not necessarily they should know everything, at least with reference to a particular scope of the internal audit, the knowledge has to be extreme, excellent. So the auditors, the independence to maintain objectivity and impartiality. That is also very important because the credentials of the person is also person or the firm is also very highly important. And there are six trends in internal audit. Before that, before I discuss these six trends, I have been mentioning how the internal auditor's role has been changing. Here, I would like to share maybe one or two of our case studies. What we started off, for example, we started doing many cases. There are say if there are some 100 cases in last 10 years. In those 100 cases, some of them, maybe 50% of them would have started as a consultancy, management consultancy, advisory assignment, which would have turned out to be ultimately an internal audit assignment, and vice versa. Many companies have also approached us to do internal audit assignment, most of them, and that turned out to be consulting and advisory. So please don't look at an assignment as, oh, this is audit, I don't have that expertise in audit. Oh, this is consulting, I don't have an expertise in consulting. We don't know how that will turn out to be. So in that context, I will share a couple of cases as the time permits, because we have to discuss quite a few other aspects also. Here, one quickly what comes to my mind is one consulting assignment. The promoters, it's a chit company like that, one microfinance company, one NBFC in the finance, and then in some other industries also. There are many such cases, but for the sake of only discussion, we will take only few cases. So one chit company in South India, they approached us for a management advisory service. Actually, it was for additional funds. They were having, say, about 700 crores as working capital, which was not sufficient for them. They wanted us to study their financials and then help them with some additional capital structuring and then some additional funding. Actually, once and normally we don't blindly agree for helping them for any additional funding or whatever it is of that nature. We always say that please leave it to us, we'll study and then we'll decide jointly. Once we started our assignment, we started doing more and more of actually internal audit work. We did their trial balance scrutiny. Then we started analyzing their long-term, short-term funds, how the mismatch was happening, how they have started using their short-term for long-term purposes, how some of their assets were completely underutilized. Actually, if you see, the liability side has got a cost, debt has got a cost, equity has got a cost. That is how it is, cost of capital. And even for valuing a company, you are discounting that free cash flow with your cost of capital or cost of equity. So that is the importance of your cost of capital or cost of equity. Depending upon that rate of cost of capital or cost of equity, the entire valuation of the company itself is going to completely change from 500 lakhs to even 5,000 lakhs also. So we give a lot of importance for your capital structuring. I also want all the listeners here to understand how relevant it is, the liability side, the long-term liabilities, more particularly your debt and equity, the cost related to that, how to even assess the cost, CAPM method or whatever method, please have some expertise on that. So we started doing all that and then we found out the actual cost of capital of that company and we started comparing it with the return on capital employed or return on equity. It may look very simple as a theoretical exercise, but practically when you start doing it, you'll understand how actually many companies commit mistakes in that. Here we could find immediately something is wrong in that. So it is not that they need additional funds, they need some thorough investigation. And it is only to help them, not to again to as a detective job, not that, because it's only an internal assignment. So once we did that scrutiny of their assets, liabilities, we found a lot of funds were spread many places which were not productive at all. A lot of unproductive assets were there. A lot of unproductive deployment of funds were there, which are not getting reflected in their P&L. So the bottom line is not justifying the capital employed. Then we started with a 1 month exercise. It continued for a longer term. The management was also happy because we were helping them releasing funds and they wanted additional 3 to 4 crores. Believe me, they were able to get back 2+ crores from their internal system itself. So their working capital from 7.5 crores got reduced to 5 crores, and not that additional money was required, even the existing funds were released. So they were very happy. So completely a thorough internal audit on all aspects. We ended up doing it. Though we thought that we will get relieved after a few months, the management was insisting on continuing for a longer period. So this is how the relationship is also built. And quickly, what I can recall is another case where the chairman called us and he told, sir, I am sitting before my tally, I am seeing my numbers, I am not able to even pay my electricity bill. I am now hard pressed for cash, whereas it shows reserves and surplus profit of so much. All that he said something is wrong. So can you help us in starting out? So it turned out to be a sort of again some issue. So it is actually not an audit, not a consulting assignment. It was more to find out exactly the problem, where the problem was, where the risk was. Actually, the risk there was the internal controls were not in place. They were not having proper internal controls on accounting related aspects. I don't want to go into more details of that. Then once we found out the gaps in the system internal controls, we started introducing a lot of MIS. So in fact, for cost accountants, another great opportunity through internal audit is many companies, they don't have proper management information system. Quite a few of our assignments in last 2-3 decades are more in lines of introducing internal controls, management information system. And once you have all of them in place, the risk is also mitigated. Risk is avoided, risk is mitigated. So this is one part of it. And another part where actually it started as an internal audit and ended up as a consulting assignment. What happened in one case, one of the private equity, large private equity company, they invited us to do an internal audit of one of their assisted companies. They have assisted one company for a particular requirement, but the company was coming again and again back to back to the PE firm for first round of funding, second round of funding, third round of funding, continuous losses. So something was fishy. So they invited us to do an internal audit and find out where exactly the money is going, what exactly happening in that company. Once we went and started studying it, actually we started doing a thorough internal audit of that case. Then we found out that in that case, it is more of a company having several divisions. In that several divisions, the company did not have proper accounting person. The accounting person, and many a times it happens. You would have also seen the company will be spending on so many things, but they will be reluctant to spend on having a very strong accounts department, very strong accountants. This is one such case. So the expenses, assets, liabilities, it was completely a mess. Once we started analyzing, we found out that it is not just one division. Actually, the company, the funder was funding it for a particular purpose, whereas the company had some other divisions which were not all that active, but the accounting and then the related fund deployment. So there were a lot of things happening, which ultimately we actually we had to take it as an advisory function. Then we had redone the entire accounts. We had even asked the auditor to audit it for past few years. All the balance sheets, P&L, everything were redrafted, and finally the actual money disbursed by the private equity and what went for the purpose, what did not go. It is definitely a part of audit also. I don't deny that it was a sort of, we can say, even a forensic audit, but no, they did not stop it with our audit report. Yes, we found out that we gave a report, but here the entire opportunity was given to us to undo everything, and then we got a great opportunity of advisory consulting, management consulting opportunity in doing so many other related functions for the company. So this is just only to share some of the from the top of mind recall. So we'll also be discussing more on this as time permits. Now let us discuss some of the trends in internal audit. As I said, the trend is changing. So where exactly the trend is changing, we'll first see. There are, I think, 6 or 7 areas which I think 6 trends we'll be discussing. One is the digital transformation. Now, what is making the job of the internal auditor different now is this digital transformation. So internal audit functions are increasingly leveraging technologies. Those days of depending on manual audit, depending on ledger, depending on the voucher verification, I think those days are not there now. Now it is better use of artificial intelligence, robotic process, all that we'll see. Later, I'm also going to discuss about this robotic process and data analytics, all that. So these the digital transformation is a major trend now. So unless the internal auditors are equipped to understand, to use these changes, the olden day internal audit, the past method of doing internal audit will not definitely help. The expectation is also from the industry changing. Second is this ESG audits, environmental, social and governance are gaining a lot of importance because the impact of environment, the climate change, that is affecting the bottom line of many companies. Recently, I had the opportunity of addressing senior bankers in ISB program. So there also we discussed about how the entire banking sector is getting affected because of this environmental changes, climatic changes, how the risk is increasing for the banking sector, for the lenders. So this is one area where there is excellent scope for audit. All the banks want the auditors to submit a report. All the companies want their internal auditors to study the environmental impact, social responsibilities. So now that's gaining a lot of importance, and governance. Definitely nowadays the significance of governance with a lot of companies failing for want of governance. Government is also very particular about governance related audits. Then the third is, this is another very
Mr. Ray,
important.
that's
Yes. Yes. Hello.
Are you actually have been able to enter into the studio?
You are asking me? Hello.
Why? Because you are
Mr.
from the institute
Mr.
website. Can you
Chitranjan,
join?
Mr. Chitranjan, please mute. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, please go ahead, sir. I
Okay,
think he's
please.
talking to someone else.
I'll ask
Yeah.
him to mute, please. So this is third one is this the diversity, equity and inclusion audit. This I don't know how many of you have started doing it. This many companies now, especially multinational companies, the companies having global operations, they are approaching us now for doing this sort of audit. It is workforce demographics, hiring practices, promotion, and employee feedback. Don't think these are all HR related. Don't even because many times the data may be from HR, whereas a lot of analysis, impact of it on the financials. Ultimately, the financial impact, governance related issues in these, all as a basket one has to study, not as separate HR related leadership assessment, inclusive work culture. One of the MNCs now, a big issue which is raised only last month is the gender disparity. So how an Indian company having presence in many countries, so that's becoming a big issue now. So benchmarking best practices, identifying patterns and best practices, improving overall business performance. So these are all covered under, as we know now by now, that ESG, this DEI is also gaining importance. And the need for internal audit functions to be agile and responsive to changing business environment is very important. So one, as that's what I say, the days are changing, the requirements are changing, the tools are changing. So the internal auditors also have to be aware of this, adapting to new risks and regulatory, and risk also is changing. For example, the bank, if you get the opportunity to do for a bank any risk audit, the credit risk is almost 85%. So there are operational risks, there are various other risks associated with that. So risk weighted asset itself is a huge percentage on the total assets. Risk weighted asset itself is a huge percentage. So if that is the case in the bank's balance sheet, in the borrower's balance sheet, again, it's a huge component. So that risk assessing and regulatory changes, and RBI has been issuing several circulars on these risk related issues for the corporates also. So the internal auditors have to be aware of all that. And third party risk is also increasing now, because now in that supply chain, now the supply chain is gaining a lot of importance. That is becoming a huge area of opportunity for the internal auditors, for the cost accountants particularly, because that audit is third party vendors, third party partners, internal auditors have to focus on where exactly the risk lies, because depending more on third party, now it is more and more of outsourcing. When everything is getting outsourced, if you take any big company, they don't do many of the functions internally. They outsource most of the functions. So there are a lot of third parties. If there are third parties, there are a lot of risks, delays, pricing, governance issues. So all that one has to, for example, one company, why there are many companies, they are outsourcing their security activity. That security and the large number of security personnel, these outsourced firm, and they were deducting PF and they were not remitting PF. Ultimately, the notice came to the company from the PF authorities because the responsibility is of the company. So that became a huge component. So ultimately, some audit had to be done and then recovery has to be processed. So these are all one such issue I am pointing out. When it is outsourcing, plenty of such related aspects are there. So the internal auditors have to be abreast of all this. And talent management is very important nowadays, getting the right team in place, because this internal audit, again, we can say it's a sort of due diligence exercise. Due diligence is analysis, 360-degree analysis of various aspects. It can be legal, it can be HR, it can be finance, it can be anything else like what we have been discussing. But are we having skilled audit professionals for that is a big question mark. So if you would like to have these opportunities, you have to either equip yourself or you should have a team built for this. So this is another trend now. The networking is already taking place in terms of internal audit with relevant expertise. And after we understand those trends, I thought that we'll discuss something about this scope of the internal audit. So here, before we discuss about this scope, let me give you a case. Actually, one of the hospitals, we were asked to do some work for them, some assignment for them. It's neither consulting nor internal audit. They approached us to study broadly what exactly the scope for the growth. Actually, how they can grow. It's a 50-bedded hospital. Whether they can do that, it is taking into account the present limitations, present strengths. So it's a sort of audit also. And once we went into details of this scope, we understood that actually the original scope was not clearly defined to us. And then only we understood that before an assignment of any nature has to be accepted, we should have a clear understanding of the scope. Why I'm saying this? This is on the assumption that all was well as far as the existing was concerned. Actually, that itself was a big question mark. The cost of project was not properly estimated. Means of financing was not properly arrived at and finalized, and also the profitability projections, the viability, everything. Actually, it was just a sort of incomplete exercise. Based on that, the additional analysis, if we do everything, if garbage in, garbage out, then the scope actually changed to changing the existing assumptions itself, understanding the existing itself properly, because the original idea was to start from existing and then build further. We understood that exactly that was not the way to do it, because so many problems were there in the existing. I think almost it would have come to a standstill if we had not done that existing analysis and timely action. If we had not taken, actually the cost itself was underestimated. Accordingly, the means was under finalized, and profitability, viability was over assumed. It would have been a completely a non-starter, leave alone the growth opportunities. The existing itself would have been a major issue. So fortunately, that was all resolved in time, and they were able to go ahead also. So the understanding the scope of the work is also very important for internal auditors. especially if they are taking any assignment. So I want to give a list of points how you can do your scope. Why was the audit in the plan? What is that we are supposed to do? That's very important, very clear understanding of that. And the specific requirements, exactly as I said, what is the outcome? What is expected outcome? If the outcome has to be perfect, the inputs have to be perfect. How does the process support the organization in achieving goals? So is it on a standalone basis we are doing something, or is it to support the organization? And what is the risks attached? What are the risks attached to that? Already, if there are any risks which the entire company or that project or that particular division is facing, or the likelihood of any further risks, and the schedule. The audit plan is very important. Fitting that audit plan into overall plan is also very important. It should not be something completely in a separate track. It should not be. It should merge with the overall plan of the organization. And is it something which was done in the past, or is it something which we are doing it for the first time? Any audit when you start, please don't straight away start. You first have a complete grip of whole thing. Are we continuing something which was earlier carried out, or are we doing it for the first time? And whether any non-conformities were there in the earlier findings, are they all addressed already, or are they still there? If they are still there, what is the point in finding more and more conformities or non-conformities? Are there any changes occurred in the process? Again, is it something which is very dynamic, or what is the is it static or dynamic, or what exactly we are supposed to, where we have to, and depending upon the nature, if it is dynamic, then our approach has to be different. If it is static, yes, our approach will be entirely different. Then the previous reports, we have to review the previous reports, then come to some understanding of what are the major areas, which are the, like that matrix, what we have seen, where we have to concentrate more. And the audit team should have a clear idea about the standards, framework, regulatory requirements, everything. The audit team should have a complete understanding of all that. That is very, very important. So in that connection, I thought that we can discuss now about the 18 key steps in internal audit. Can I go ahead, Sumit? Is it fine?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay. Any queries so far? Anything which I need to address now, or can I complete and then I can take the questions at the end?
Yes, that will be better, sir. We can
Okay.
ask the questions in the end.
Okay, fine, good. So now we'll handle these 18. We'll just discuss these 18 steps now. Then we'll see one by one what has to be concentrated more. And here, before we discuss these 18 steps, again, I would like to discuss another case study. Actually, it is relating to a software company. That software company in Chennai, a major software company, it's in Tidal Park, and they approached us to do some sort of internal audit work for them. They have their operations in Canada and the US. Something was going wrong in all the places. That's what they were thinking. So in US and Canada and India, we started our study of the Indian operations. Actually, we could come to some quick understanding that it was not anything to do with India. It is more to do with the other operations, because these companies, when they started their operations abroad in the initial days of the software company setting up of operations in other countries, they did not have proper understanding of the business in other countries. So we had to undertake a visit to both the places, and we started studying. First, we studied US, and then we traveled to Canada. We studied the operations there. To our surprise, we found out that there were a lot of issues they were having, which were not even properly understood by them, and they getting aggravated. And over a period of a couple of weeks, the organization would get complete grip of it. And again, in this case, it was through developing world-class internal control system. Internal audit is more linked to internal controls, and then a lot of reporting systems. So we can take pride in saying that a lot of internal controls were introduced, internal systems were introduced, internal reporting systems were developed. MIS was developed daily, weekly, monthly, fortnightly reports, and most of the issues could be mitigated, risk could be mitigated, reduced. So it was a very great internal audit opportunity. And that internal audit opportunity, instead of, as I said in the beginning, instead of finding fault, oh, here is the problem, here is the problem, here is the problem, it slowly ended up with resolving all the issues. Yes, this is the problem, this is the solution for that, this is the problem. So what I'm trying to say, my dear cost accountants, opportunities are every day, plenty of opportunities are there. It's not just starting with somewhere and ending with that. It is starting with somewhere and ending with somewhere. So you should keep your eyes and ears open. So in that connection, maybe I will also discuss about another case of contracts, how we were able to resolve some contracts with the help of some tools. Maybe when we talk of emerging technologies there, I can discuss that also. So here, first quickly, we will see the steps involved in internal audit. Again, when I say internal audit, don't restrict your thinking to just audit or fault finding or your detective approach. No, it is from the angle of how you are going to introduce the systems, how you are going to introduce controls, reports, MIS. You just view it from that angle. Then these 18 steps, you will be able to get 18 opportunities in even a very short span of time. Examine the policies, procedures, and records. Actually, this itself is a separate opportunity, professional opportunity. Conduct interviews with the key personnel before you start undertaking any assignment. This is what we have been doing. All that cases what I discussed with you so far, this is what we do. Wherever I mentioned cost, because it is for the cost accountants I am addressing, I thought that you can even view it from cost to process itself. Not necessary, as cost accountants, are allowed legally to undertake internal audit. It is not necessary that you should restrict it to only cost records. You can even think of all the other financial records and other reports also. So just even don't restrict it to cost policies, procedures, or cost accounting processes. No, it is the discussion with the management is very important. Understand their mindset, understand what they want. You don't decide. You be a tool. Let them decide, let them discuss, let them come out with their problems. That is how we have been approaching. But yes, definitely they may not be even clear. They may have a lot of doubts. That is where our professional expertise. We have to tell them. As I said, one company, not one, many companies, they just approach us. They tell us, sir, I want some working capital or some funding or some equity. Can you help us? Immediately our answer is, please don't tell us what we should do. We are not glorified brokers to organize funding for you. We are here to professionally advise you. So we will study and either we will agree with you or we will give some other valid suggestions to you. Then finally you take a call. Actually, many of our assignments have been on these lines and they are so far touchwood successful. So these interviewing with the management, identifying potential risks. This is very, very important. When you take any assignment, just don't, like, for example, we want loan, we want fund, we want this is to be done. Just don't straight away get into the job. Analyze it from the overall operational potential risks in terms of misstatements, inefficiencies, non-compliances, then prioritize. What is the risk? Already we discussed this, prioritizing risk and audit plan. Many a time, without even having a proper plan, we get into the job. So we underestimate the time required. We underestimate the skills required, and we come out with some half-baked reply. So the audit procedures, timelines, resources required, clear understanding of the audit plan, and develop a program. The audit program is a very beautiful with a lot of tests and procedures to be performed. That's a very big document. We are in this scope of our discussion today. We are giving a overall view of these aspects. As the chairman said, the committee he has lined up speakers on various nitty-gritties of the internal audit over a period of next few months. So we'll see to it that these audit plan, audit program, audit risk individually, these topics are also discussed in the individual webinars. So collect relevant data, documents, understand the various reports. That's also very important. So you should examine first, conduct the discussion, identifying areas of misstatements, inefficiencies, and compliances, prioritizing the risk and creating an audit plan, developing an audit program, collecting relevant records, registers, invoices, ledgers, documents, and performing tests. And again, one has to be very clear on what type of tests, where tools have to be used, where all these technologies have to be used, what level of accuracy is required. It is not that always you need 100% accuracy, and what level of completeness is required. And accounting standards, regulatory requirements, as we discussed, one has to have complete understanding of all these. These are the 9. The next 9 are evaluate the effectiveness of internal controls over accounting processes. So how effective the internal controls? That's what I said. 20 of our assignments on these lines we have been getting endlessly. Then perform tests of controls, ensure they are operating as intended. So the controls whether they are effective. Analyze the audit findings, the previous audit findings, discrepancies, inefficiencies, areas of improvement, and a draft report. Because before you complete your report, better you discuss with the management. Some of your findings may be completely wrong. So you have to understand where you went wrong, where you are stronger in your understanding. Then only you should conclude and recommend. Don't straight away come with your final report. And communicate with the management. The communication is very important. Just don't give a report. Better fix a time with them, discuss with them, and then make a presentation. Believe me, in one case where we made a presentation to the management, a lot of discussions were there. Actually, what we put in the report and how the discussions took place, we had to even add some additional points which we did as a part of our internal audit work. But only at the time of discussion we found out that yes, those points could have been further strengthened in our report. So better give a draft report, tell them that disclaimer that is a draft report. After the discussion with the management, we'll finalize it into it. And many times we have seen that the management's discussion, and some if we have missed out, you can even carry out that work and then complete our report. It's not that what we give is complete. What they want, we are supposed to give. And then the action plan to sort out the issues. Follow up is very important. It's not, as I said, our job does not end with finding fault. Many a times, if you want to convert an internal audit opportunity into consulting opportunity, understand that you should be there in the picture till the end. And internal controls ensure a thorough and effective internal audit of records, leading to improved accuracy. So it's a sort of involvement. It's not just a single assignment. You are going to be part of the team to support the management. And as we already discussed, the subject matter experts are very important. Finding subject matter experts are very difficult, and that is where we have great opportunity. Many persons can get internal audit opportunity, but they cannot execute it because they need subject matter experts. And we are subject matter experts. We as professionals, chartered accountant, cost accountant, company secretaries, professionals, yes. And as cost and management accountants, we have better expertise. So on regulatory, information security, business processes, on these areas, we are supposed to have better clarity. And also, when we are engaged with a company in a particular capacity, we should be transparent in saying we are doing some other function also for you. We are also statutory auditor for you, or we are also doing this for you. We are also, if it is a bank assignment, we are also your branch auditor, whatever it is. So that sort of transparency is also very important. But subject matter experts are in great demand. We are in great demand. So that has to be understood. Keep it is updated, not undated. A small correction. In terms of fostering talent, Internal audit professionals should stay abreast of current trends. This we discussed already. In this connection, I just want to say that you have to read a lot of recent articles, HBR. I very regularly I keep going through these Harvard case studies, periodicals, newsletters, some of these ACPA, ISACA, ISO, NAST newsletters, and then a lot of blogs. Deloitte Insight has got a blog, EY Insight, the Productivity View, RSM's blog, Institute of Internal Auditors blogs. They contain a lot of information. You have to abreast yourself. And having the right people and talent in place is very important, that we discussed already. And subject matter experts will smoothen your workflow. Is the NAST, is National Institute of Standards and Technology. And there are top 10 expectations from an internal auditor. They are one is credibility, very important. As an internal auditor at a senior level, we have to exhibit our credibility and trust building. If I can give my example, our example, all our clients are there with us for more than 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, like that. So we started our advisory and internal audit related functions in early 2000, I think in 1999 end or so, almost 25 years. So a long-standing relationship is possible only if you build trust, and you have to keep engaging with them regularly. So it is not just okay, we are advisors, our job is over. Try to keep adding value to them, and competence. We have to exhibit that yes, we are increasing our competence day by day, and we know technologies, we know all this, whatever is happening around, and we have to think differently. And the successful persons don't do different things, they do things differently. So we have to be proactive in addressing issues. If they should have that confidence, yes, I have a problem, here is a person to give solution to us. You can call yourself as an internal auditor, you can call yourself as a management consultant, but ultimately we are here to serve the requirements. And there are again another, I mean, the top 5 we discussed, other 5 are communication skills. Many times I find the communication skills, many of the brilliant professionals, they miss some opportunities. So please keep this in the back of your mind. Prioritizing client concerns. So we should have our priorities next only to clients' priorities. Objectivity and fairness. We have to be objective and fair in all our audit activities. It's not, there should not be any subjectivity in our approach. Ethical standards. We should be viewed as these people are highly ethical. So we do not have to worry. Our information will not go outside. They will not steal our information. They will not share our information. They will not mislead us. So that sort of ethical standards, integrity is very important, and analytical skills. If data is given to us, we should be in a position to completely back of envelope calculation. So suddenly if they approach us, what should we do for this? Just wait. Instead of going through the entire process, we should be in a position to even quickly analyze the issues and give some interim solution. That sort of skill has to be there. These are all, and I have to admit here, all that whatever we have been discussing, maybe I would have borrowed from different sources. So many places the source details are also given. And technical competencies. There are 3 types of technical competencies: technical competency, behavioral competency, and other competencies for the internal auditor. The technical competency is auditing and accounting proficiency, accounting standards, auditing standards, internal audit standards, secretarial standards, all that, costing standards, all that they should know, and all accounting related. If you know all the principles of accounting, for example, matching principle concept means what, how they have to be applied. So you have to be very thorough in your knowledge and understanding. And risk management, we have already discussed enough about risk identifying, assessing, managing risk. So that competency, risk assessment competency, lot of risk related courses are available. You can even attend some courses. Internal controls, one should have the knowledge of understanding the internal controls, frameworks, and the application. Data analytics, now big data analysis. So that is very important. A lot of analytical courses are also now available. IT knowledge is absolute necessity. Understanding IT. If you still say that I don't use my laptop or my computer, I think you have to really seriously think about it. And the behavioral competences, ethical, which we already discussed, objectivity, which we already discussed, communication, we discussed, critical thinking, that's very important. Complex issues, also we should be in a position to think critically. And the interpersonal skills, don't behave as an auditor all the time. Behave as a friend, behave as a well-wisher, behave as a mate. So this is very important. And the general competencies of professionalism. Yes, you can be a friend, you can behave as a friend, but be professional in your approach, your authority, your credibility. All that should demonstrate, hey, this man is definitely a class apart. That distinguishing factor has to be there all the time. And strategic thinking. So your strategic planning, decision making, and the strategic thinking, all that will come once you start handling more and more and more assignments. So the proof of pudding only is in eating. And adaptability, being flexible, and you have to be adaptable. Don't be very rigid all the time. I find some senior auditors are rigid most of the time. Not necessary, need not be. And project management skills. It's not just only as an auditor, you should also have the handling hands-on experience should also be there, and continuous learning. You should be open for continuous learning. So that's also very important. As I said, there are plenty of frameworks for internal audit. The International Professional Practices Framework, you can just look at it. This IPPF contains a lot of mandatory and best practices recommendations to enhance and protect organizational value by providing risk-based and objective assurance, advice, and insight. So this IPPF, if you go to their website, plenty of audit-related frameworks are there. And again, this ISACA, Information Systems Audit and Control Association, they also give, in addition to Institute of Internal Auditors, this ISACA also can give guidance on internal audit processes. So one should have clear understanding of all these. Like I said, you have to go to Deloitte or EY or their insights or the websites of Harvard. Like that, it is the various blogs, various literature. You cannot handle any longer with the knowledge you have already. It has to be always with the additional knowledge what you gain on a day-to-day basis from various sources. So there is something called the COSO ICIF framework. That is this framework of Committee of Sponsoring Organizations of the Treadway Commission in US. They have one internal control integrated framework. So that's called simply COSO ICIF. Based on this SOX, these US statutes talks on governance related issues. A lot of public traded companies in US, they use this COSO ICIF that talks of various internal audit programs. So before applying a specific framework here, you can also evaluate your suitability, mapping with this framework, mapping with your business. So this framework focuses on fraud, internal controls, and financial reporting, while covering subjects like the overall control environment of the organization, information, communication, risk management. This is a beautiful framework. You can even download some of the relevant part from that. And the internal audit program, just a part of it is, since the internal audit reports are usually designed for the consumption of leadership, for the management, you should prepare the program, vet it in consultation with the management. So it has to be prepared to create an audit program exclusively. It should be tailor-made. Don't have the standard program for all the companies. Do it for the specific requirements. Risk mitigation is the goal. So process risk, controlling risk, this we discussed. And a lot of control attributes are there. So if you are introducing some control mechanism in a company, how is it going to be preventive or detective? How frequently that is going to be adopted, that control mechanisms? Is it to mitigate any risk, or is it going to be manually performed, or through some tools? And how possible the risks are? Is it a very high level of risk it is going to handle, or even unlikely risk it is going to handle? And the impact of all these, as I said, that risk matrix you have to prepare, and then accordingly you have to prepare your control attributes and the evidence what you gather after all your testing procedures. So these emerging technologies, there are some 6 or 7 emerging technologies. One is your robotic process automation. Lot of data is getting extracted in audit, and report is getting generated, and compliance checks are done. So those days, maybe about 10 years back, these data handling, report generation, compliance checks were a huge marathon task for the auditors, internal auditors. Now there are plenty of tools available, robotic process automation tools for the financial transactions itself, reconciliation of financial transactions itself, for ensuring compliance and regulatory. Then you are all very familiar with the artificial intelligence and machine learning for identifying patterns. In an audit, what is very important is you should try to identify some patterns, trends, data sets, anomalies in data sets. That itself, for an experienced auditor, you'll be able to immediately. Sometimes those days we used to say in audit, our auditors were also telling us we used that red pencil for audit, tick, that peculiar tick. Our pencil will giving ticks regularly. If there is a problem area, our pencil will get stuck there. Actually, I have experienced it myself. For a few seconds, we will get stuck there. Our brain will alarm us. Like that, these trends, these patterns, these data sets, all that will give an indication there is something wrong somewhere. So that predictive analytics tools, the artificial intelligence, machine learning tools, to flag suspicious activities in real time. And data analytics. Now, a lot of data analytics courses are also there. MBA courses are also there. Part-time courses there. Certification courses. So continuous auditing becomes possible through real-time monitoring. So continuously the data is getting monitored on a real-time basis. So the data analytics, entire data, instead of sampling. For audit, normally we keep saying take samples. Now those days are also gone now. Why sampling? Take entire data, analyze. So that is possible with all these technologies. That sampling concept is also getting reduced. Then this blockchain technology, that is for automating auditing tasks. This blockchain is reducing the need for manual checks. So these supply chain data, financial records, integrity of the records, critical areas, all that, reconciling accounts, all that now the blockchain technology is able to do. That reduces the auditing cost also. And cloud computing, a lot of data is stored in the cloud now. So the real records, verifying, downloading, whenever you need, just download it. Even yesterday, when I was doing some scanning, I was surprised that scanner in the mobile itself, the scanner asked, oh, this file is too big. Would you like to download it to your Gmail? Why should you download it? Can I put it in cloud? I think even for ROC filing or something. So this is how the technology is helping us. Immediately that file was put in cloud, and from cloud that was downloaded, used for the required purpose. So this is exactly the cloud computing now for audit purposes. Extensively they are used. And here this is another natural language processing, analyzing and interpreting unstructured data. For one case with Australia and Singapore based branches, we had to do some work there, internal audit work there. When we went to Australia and Singapore with lot of contracts to be interpreted, actually this natural language processing tool was very helpful to interpret the contracts for us to complete our job also in time. Otherwise, we would have spent a lot of efforts and time spending in a different country. So this is how the understanding, interpreting the contracts. Internet of Things. Here it is real-time IoT, real-time data from physical assets, facilities, all the assets, physical assets, machines, they are able to give real-time data. So this IoT is really helping for getting routine data analyzing by the auditors, monitoring sensors in manufacturing equipment. And then cybersecurity tools, plenty of tools are there now for cybersecurity. You are also getting a lot of platforms introduced for the protection of that. So they are becoming very useful for the IT infrastructure. And process mining, how processes are actually carried out now. Entire processes also you can understand the process mining, identifying inefficiencies in each processes. There are different tools for that. And for audit management itself, there are tools like Teammate, Audit Board. There are plenty of tools. So you can make use of them. And all these emerging technologies help in increasing efficiency, enhancing accuracy, deeper insights, risk management, and cost saving. So this is how it is. And internal audit effectiveness is for increasing the business value, increasing the quality, reducing cost, accelerating speed cycle, efficiency, effectiveness, and mostly it is the increased collaboration with the audit team. So timely completion, visibility, transparency. So plenty of opportunities in terms of effectiveness now, which you can agree with me. So as now the time is nearing for completion, I thank you all for the opportunity given in my presentation. I have to admit that this is just only to explain about the relevance of audit, how audit functions are carried out, internal functions are carried out, how as cost and management accountants, you can be very successful in handling different types of assignments. So this is the whole aim. Now maybe chairman will add to this point that many other programs will also be covering specifically on audit program, audit tools like that. This is just a opening session from the committee. So hope this is useful to you. And I thank the chairman, president, vice president for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Please make me alive. Thank you.
Sir, you are already live. You can speak.
I think the link has to be okay. So it's a great, learning, great hearing. I was just listening to your deliberations, specifically when you delved on the issues of COSOs, and you have ICIF mandate you have just discussed. I was really very much feeling excited. In fact, so far our domain area of internal audit is concerned, that is a very important area our members should definitely know, and I am sure many of the members are already aware. But before that, what I feel that our Dr. Gopalan has addressed many areas of which in technological areas where internal audit takes leverage. I'll be all questions and answers will be given. Quickly, I want to summarize because I can't resist myself to just reiterate some of his deliberations in a very crisp manner. He spoke about the artificial intelligence and machine learning, and he also went through the data analytics, predictive analytics, automated testing, continuous auditing he's mentioned. And also he mentioned about robotic process automations, where the process optimizations and data extraction analysis takes place. And he especially emphasized on data analytics and visualizations, where data-driven insights and real-time monitoring will occur. And of course, I think blockchain and distributed ledger technology, where secure data storage and transmission, smart contracts, that would be also kept in view. And cybersecurity and threat intelligence, which is actually dealing with the real-time threat detections, incident response. So all these discussions he did in a very lucid way, and definitely I must say this participants has gained their enhanced understanding of internal audit's role in governance and risk management through these webinars, familiarity with the emerging technologies and their potential impact, practical strategies for integrating technology into internal audit, and networking opportunities with peers and industry experts. So the road ahead is that as we embark on this journey, let us focus on harnessing the power of technology to elevate internal audit's impact. Friends, sir has mentioned the committee of sponsoring organizations which established the internal control integrated framework, that is ICIF, previously known as the Internal Control Integrated Framework 2013. So this mandate, I think, is very important. In fact, these are all, I can say that these are all, this always we say that whenever there are some mandates, these mandates are very, they're evaluating effective internal control. The primary objectives are risk assessment, control environment, control activities, information and communications, monitoring activities. These are the five, they have mentioned here. And the key principles, if you go through that, 17 principles ICIF is built around. And I think in the near future, Dr. Gopalan will definitely delve on these issues because we require to, learn more and more on these ICIF principles. This governance and culture, risk assessment, control activities, information and communication monitoring activities. They all delve on these 17 principles. And ultimately, at the end of the day, those who are using this ICIF, it is being told the benefit they can accrue, that is enhanced risk management, improve governance and compliance, increase operational efficiency, strengthen financial reporting, and boost stakeholder confidence. So these are all excellent, today's reference of this program has become really very much, knowledge has been really to that extent enriched on the internal audit. Friends, I just want to mention before we go into the question answer session, this is the first session we have organized with the help of Dr. Gopalan, who is the architect of this program. He will be also with us for several programs, and I'm sure you have all liked him and you will love him to listen from him. And I'm telling you the most important thing, that sustainability and ESG audits he has also mentioned here, cybersecurity audits, ethics and compliance audit, auditing remote work environments, and internal audit in financial services, risk-based internal audit. All these programs we shall host through this webinar pattern. You all remain with us, and I'm sure you'll be having very exciting sessions in future. Over to CMA Simarjit Chadha ma'am for taking the question answer sessions. Thank you.
So currently we don't have any question answers.
From next
This was
session onwards. From
No,
next session onwards.
one question answer session. One question I am getting, and this is the demand from the participants, that the PPT they want to get it. Okay, that would not be, because this program will be channelized through YouTube. All these programs can be, repeat telecast will be done through YouTube channel. And we have also requested our IT directorate to channel this program in the GeoTV channel. We have got a GeoTV channel, and I request madam, you please take care, and after editing the whole program, the whole session, you can put it in the GeoTV, so our members will be more benefited. So right. I think I am just putting one observations. CMA A Gautam session is going great and it has been insightful. Thank you, sir. I am newly qualified CMA, 2 years of experience in external audit and 1 year of experience in taxation. And I'm very much passionate about getting to internal audit now and expanding to ESG and AI audit in future. He's apprehending that in this moment it's very difficult for me to get into internal audit. Most of the job postings are asking for experience with SOX and COSO. And also most of the job postings are looking for certification, this CPA, CIA. Give me some tips to get into internal audit as a CMA. They want some tips, sir. Since you are really having your tremendous experience, kindly enrich our young member, CMA Gautam, with your advice.
The first tip is the young members have to associate with seniors, because as he rightly said, getting opportunity is also very difficult. So that is wherever possible. Even
madam, make live, madam. Mr. Gopalan is not live, please.
Okay. Why this every time it's like?
Yes.
So, okay. So see, these young members definitely have to associate with some senior members. We senior members, as far as possible, we take young members with us whenever we get opportunities. So that way, that networking is essential. And when I go and talk in many workshops in places like interior Tamil Nadu, interior Andhra, interior Karnataka, and different places, I tell all the members, you have a lot of clients, don't wait for opportunities, just go and discuss with them. They may come with some requirement. you try to convert that requirement into a bigger scale. As if you have noticed in my talk, not all the opportunities are coming with this specific, because many times, please believe me, many of our clients, over 90% of our clients, SMEs more particularly, they are not very clear about the requirement itself. So they may come with, mostly they will come with, can you get me working capital loan? Can you prepare me a statement for this purpose to the bank, or stock statement? So like that only they will come. But you get that as an opportunity to just study their financials and corporate structuring. That itself, if possible, we will even deliberate on that corporate structuring itself. How plenty of opportunities are there for cost accountants. You could just, when you get into the client company, create that confidence in their mind that you can study freely. First, you do it as a free assignment. Sir, I can study your financials, I can do your financial analysis, and then help you with where exactly you lack. Then they will say, okay, can you correct it? That becomes an opportunity. That becomes an internal audit opportunity. That becomes a management consult. So that is how we have grown. And yes, maybe with the seniors if possible, or with all your clients. Let it be a small client. Let it be very small, but opportunities are there everywhere. And whenever you need any support, any help, any guidance, we are all there. Seniors are there to help you freely. You please go to the seniors and take, even if you get, for example, some assignment where you don't have that much of expertise, fine, accept that. Don't say that I don't know this, accept that, have a word with seniors and then start doing it. That's how you can learn. This is the tip I can give at this point of time.
Thank you, Madam, make me live. So another question is there. The question is from Rizbik Narkar. What should be the ideal frequency of carrying out internal audit, MSME company preferably?
Frequency for MSME, maybe once in 3 months. I think I have to be made live now. Every time, why
Yeah,
this?
it is happening. No, sir, because it takes a little bit of time. That
No,
is
no, no,
why.
no. I'm not talking that system, because normally Zoom automatically that shifts this Teams. I don't know. Fine. So this frequency, there is no hard and fast rule, my dear friend. As far as frequency is concerned, it can be once a month also, or it can be once in 6 months also, depending upon the size, volume, magnitude. As we discussed that matrix, you have to decide what exactly is the how the effectiveness will be. If it is done once in 6 months, will it be effective, or once a month will it be effective? So the effectiveness, the magnitude, all that will decide. Reasonably, once in 3 months, any normal assignment is sufficient.
Thank you. Thank you. Another question is there. That question is from Mr. Vedant. Could you please explain some more on CSCM implementation in an organizations and role to be played by internal audit function?
What implementation? CSCM.
CSCM. More on CSCM implementation in organizations.
Okay, ask him to explain that. CSCM means what?
Okay, so I request our Mr. Vedant to please come out. You can also put your all questions in our keeping this reference, taking this reference of webinar. You can send it to our internal assurance standard board. We can definitely come back to you through our speaker, and we shall be definitely responding to your questions. A big thank you, sir, for such an elaborate presentations. It has been come out from there. My participants, wonderful presentations, and everybody has demanded. So everybody will be getting this again. Thank you for such a wonderful presentations, Ms. CMA Sushant Kumar Saha. Modern day internal audit has got many facets. Would be grateful if more such webinars are organized on each facets of internal audit, preferably with live examples. Good day. So I think, sir, our session is really getting momentum, and we'll be doing it. Definitely, it is the first program under your, this day you have come here today, you have made it time. So we'll be definitely doing it. And I think there are other already questions we have discussed. I think this is the last question already we have discussed. Continuous auditing and continuous monitoring. That way they have told CACM.
Okay.
So the questions gets back to you again.
Okay.
Because there's already given. I request all the participants not to put any anonymous. They have to put their name and membership number. Please remember. So please carry on. CSCM question.
What he wants? He wants the frequency, or what is the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So see, continuous monitoring, as the very word says, if it has to be continuously monitored, there are a lot of internal controls. The audit program, as I said, in our board meetings as audit committee chairman or as an audit committee member, what we do, we call the internal audit team, and then we discuss with them how that has to be continuously monitored. Continuous monitoring, whether it is whether they have to submit report in every board meeting, or that quarterly they will do, and quarterly board meeting time only they will submit the report, or they will do it on a frequent basis like weekly, monthly, fortnightly, summarize the report and share it with us in the board, or the methodology of that, everything will be discussed. So accordingly the time frame will be decided. Again, as I say, the methodology or the program or the time frame, everything depends upon how serious the impact will be, and where, because not everything has to be continuously audited, continuously monitored. So depending upon the requirement, the audit requirement. So the ultimate is the audit requirement and seriousness. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Hope I clarified.
Thank you. These clarifications definitely would be great to our profession, our professional friend. So I would request you, sir, to share the this PPT to our internal assurance standard board. We shall be putting it to the our YouTube channel also. Our YouTube channel will be more and more participants will be enriched with their knowledge, and I am very much sure that today's presentation has been one of the best presentations I have ever heard in the internal audit. The way you have elucidated, that's a great. So I wish that you keep your good health. It's a very auspicious day of Vijaya Dashami. I express my heartfelt best wishes to every participants on this very, auspicious day of Vijaya Dashami, which has been being observed across the country after the Durga Puja is over. So now I hand over the session to CMA Simati Chada, our HOD and Secretary of BFA Internal Assurance Standard Board, for offering vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. V. Gopalan, this was really a very comprehensive session. It has given our participants some very useful insights for conducting an effective internal audit. A very
Madam, you make
simple.
yourself live.
Yeah, Dr. Gopalan, this was a very comprehensive session. I'm sure this session has given some very useful insight to our participants, and we hope to look forward for more sessions on other topics of internal audit conducted by yourself. Thank you so much, sir. And it'll be great if you could share your PPT for the benefit of our participants.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Can I leave now?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
please. Madam, you come out from live.